And we're back with you after another night of the Trumplican National Convention. De'Andre, how are you?
I was good.
It's been quite a day. It's been quite a day. We have I want to keep it brief. I'm still tired from last night. I had an early morning, was up at 7 o'clock for work and didn't get, it's been an ongoing day, but, I definitely wanted to talk about Vice President Pence, Lady Pence and Mother Pence, both taking the stage. So, what are some thoughts that you have before? Because I have a lot. I do want to keep it brief, but I have so much to say.
Yeah, it's just too much. I'd rather let's just go into it. It's just so much.
You know what? The first thing that I want to say, and I want everybody who is out there joining us to join in. I think I'm going to go ahead and take my dreads out. So this is your last chance. If you like these dreads, say, maybe I should keep them, but I feel like it makes my face look bigger. So I think I need to let them go. And this is definitely not the day to have a big face. Everything that was said tonight was, the bottom line is this. The Republican National Convention is for white people in America and those people that want to be white people in America. And tonight, I feel as though that came across loud and clear. You have a 17-year-old radicalized white male who is a Trump supporter, who is an All Lives Matter backer, who believes firmly in blue lives, who got in his car and he drove to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he shot and killed 2 people. Yet tonight, you heard a full narrative defending these types of actions, defending the police, arguing against every effort that's being made in our society to undermine systemic racism. Yet and still, this is what I'm seeing people support, cheer for, and endorse. Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate and it's heartbreaking. And there is bad news that goes along with this, in the fact that last night ratings for the Trumplican National Convention was up. So more Americans watched last night, and President Trump's approval rating went up to 52%, according to several polls. So which is what I was afraid of, and I think people are not looking at this as starkly as they should. And I think that people are fatigued. I think that people are, again, when we had the murder of George Floyd, we had the revelation of the murder of Breonna Taylor, we had the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, America unified around demanding justice and common decency. Now that Jacob Blake was shot in the back 7 times, and it feels as though there isn't a level of support around this. There isn't a level of, there isn't, and it's heartbreaking. And again, this is spiraling out of control, and they're using all of this rhetoric to mobilize a certain type of American to really fight their fight for them. And I don't know if Biden Harris has their American army ready to do the fight. I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do. I don't have people on my timeline arguing for Biden Harris at the moment. Just my friends.
And just so, and I see Ange and I see Lamont on. Those of you who are actually watching the live now, if you could just also share that you actually can see it, because of the fact that I'm for some reason having a hard time pulling it up. So please make sure, if you are on it live now, just make sure you let us know that you're actually able to see it live. Because again, I'm trying to pull it up and it won't play. So again, if you can see it, please let us know so we can make sure we are streaming live.
We have good viewership. People are watching. It's well viewed. The numbers are going up. So it could be a delay. And you're right, Melissa. The NBA is supporting us, and we're thankful for that. The WNBA is also supporting this moment. And I feel as though the NBA is a role model for all sports entities in the stance that they have taken in support of Black Lives Matter, because all these athletes they're Black, many of them. And we want them to work. We want them to support their families. We want them to support their communities and their friends. But at the same time, we want them to stand in solidarity with us. People are losing their jobs behind their beliefs and behind the fights that they're making to bring about awareness of these issues. And everybody has a role to play, period. Every single solid, decent American has a role to play. Jamel has they're tired of having you. Y'all ain't gonna fight. Y'all been doing that. Stop expecting change where none will come. Do your part, vote. Jamel, I agree with you. I'm actually working. I'm gonna do a little video clip about that tomorrow. Everything that's happening today is exactly what I was afraid was going to happen as a post-protest moment. I was afraid that, number one, we were giving the Republican Party their narrative of fear to build on, which they've done, and that they would play it so much, and there's so much money into the fear mongering of the American public to make them feel as though if you don't vote Republican, you have no chance of survival, that the Biden presidency was going to be the purge, when in actuality, it's the re-election of Donald Trump that's the purge. And it's working. That narrative is working on so many people. In addition to that, I was afraid that the same level of energy and push and excitement around the protesting that was happening in May and June would not continue. And it will lead into a lull, and it will lead into people actually just giving up because they're so burnt out and they're so tired. And that is exactly what you have happening, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I'm trying to read the messages. And I think tonight, again, one of the things I noticed, because at first they stated that they weren't, Pence was not going to discuss and have a conversation around what's going on in Kenosha. He wasn't going to address it, because we are also kind of hearing that many of the speeches that we see, I didn't realize that, but many of the speeches that we see, we think they're live. Most of them are actually taped. So they're actually not live. And so we may see that. But one of the things that I think that Pence did not do well for himself, it would have been better if he just didn't mention it at all. At the end of the day, it was almost like, again, a blatant slap again in the face to Black people. I can't believe he just kept saying this whole to our African-American neighbors, as if we're like in some far off damn country somewhere, or we're just like, no. Why are you trying to separate? Like, at the end of the day, just call a spade a spade and call it what it is. And so if either gonna address it or just don't say anything at all, because that's where you start getting to a point you start pissing people off.
De'Andre, you have to. I don't think there is any question that Black people don't belong in Donald Trump's America. We're not wanted there. Mm-hmm. The only Black people that have a right to the American dream and who have a right to call themselves American are those who follow Donald Trump and endorse him, and those who are not going to complain about the injustices that are affecting African Americans or Black people in this country every single day. So that's who he's talking to. And in no way are the members, this is the people speaking at this convention, they're not trying to win Black votes. They know they're not going to get Black votes. When they roll out Herschel Walker, when they rolled out Vernon Jones, when they rolled out this Jake Brewer man who said that Donald Trump was the first Black president, they were not aiming to get us on board. They were aiming to convince their followers and those people on the fence that we do care about Black people, although they don't. We are doing what we can to get Black votes, although they're not. And you see, we're not dividing, we're unifying America. That division was from Biden and Kamala Harris. That was why they rolled them out, and that's what they were trying to do. Make no mistake, they're not trying to court our votes. They're just simply trying to make their base feel better about their decision and their commitment to vote for bad people.
And I don't even think, but here's my thing, and I'll even go as far as to say this. I don't even know if, and I don't even fight the argument that they're trying to even fight for our Florida Panther vote. I just feel, and I might be wrong, but I just feel as if, because they have the platforms, it's almost as if it's almost like they're blatantly saying in our face, this is our dang own country. This is what we do. And you accept it. This is what we are. It's like you're literally telling we have the authority to be as racist as we want to be. And it's like, they don't care. So for me, it's not even about pandering. It's not even about trying to get the vote. It's like telling you, this is our country. You're in our country. This is our America. This man said we're going to make America great again. They're saying like these are, you're not safe in Biden's country. You're not going to be safe in Biden's country. I said, well, hell, I'm not safe in your country either, because you don't value my life. You keep killing, and they're just blatantly telling you that we don't care about you. And again, we keep saying it time and time again these last couple of days. It's our job, it's our responsibility that we have to share the narrative. They don't care about you. They don't. And and they're showing you time and time again, and it got lie after lie. Tonight was about trying to quote unquote secure a black vote and women vote. That don't work, because again, you keep trying to make him see, you're trying to humanize a man who is a demonic spirit. And so you're trying to humanize it. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely asinine.
When I look back at tonight, I think to myself, I don't even think that there wasn't a great speech. Was there a speech tonight that really resonated with you as one that really took the cake for being the most upsetting? Many people on Twitter were saying it was the nun, that her speech was the most, was angering for them, or the coach at Notre Dame.
You know what? I can't even give. It's almost like how we can't necessarily give a grade. I can't choose one. It's like every one of them tacked one on top of another, like another tapped another on top of another on top of another. Like every, even though it wasn't about attacking, the Democrats and Biden, they were trying to humanize. I think in their ability to try to humanize Trump, you just made him seem more and more ineffective and more evil. Because again, all you did was for me and some others, I believe, because I was looking at other tweets and things of that nature. All you did was just continue to remind people, like, wait a minute, what did he say about this woman? And then he treat black people this way. So all you started doing was just reminding people, which again, you thought you were humanizing him, but all you did was just place people in position like, you know what? I remember he did this. I remember he did that. And again, you called, we're going to, and of course, Pence, we're going, law and order. At the end of the day, black people want law and order too. So all this, the law and order, well, find us some law and order too. If you're going, so I just don't understand this concept of, wherefore, and they talk about, again, here we are with this family again. I'll leave that alone. But there was something else I had about, school choice. And so we talked about this 2 days ago, and we talked about it yesterday, but I want to bring this up again, because here's my thing I'm having with the problem I'm having with school choice, as far as the how they're bringing it up. The problem I'm having with it is the fact that this is one of the reasons why you get people to hate Democrats when it comes to their conversation around school choices, because they put this narrative out there that sounds very privileged. Here's why I say that. You had the mother who talked about her son with the special needs, and how he went to his regular school and so forth, and he found, and she said all these words that he said and everything else. But I found it very interesting that you took a privileged white woman who was able to go find assistance for her. And what people don't realize is, truth be told, the best assistance that a child with special needs can get is actually in the public system, because there's resources and finances available for that child in the public school system. It's not school choice that provided that. You just chose it. You just didn't find something that worked for you. Black people don't fully have that opportunity. Black people don't necessarily have that chance. Sometimes we're stuck with what we're stuck with because we don't have enough people advocating and fighting for us too. So don't say for one moment that this school choice thing is effective for all people. No, school choice, certain aspects of school choice is effective for privileged white people who are able to actually go and find that resources, and we're stuck with the crumbs. And so that was my problem that I have with this thing. And so now you're going to put it, and the Democrats are trying to take this, and the Democrats are trying to take that. No, call it what it is. Call it privileged for those who have it. And that's the problem that I'm having, how they're trying to place school choice. And so I do think that school choice has a place. It has a place, but again, I think it has a bigger place with people who have privilege. And now I'm going to leave that alone with that.
I'm not going to engage in the school. I'm not going to go. I'm glad you got that out regarding school choice. You know how I feel about school choice. I don't support the charter school movement unless it is a charter school where I know the people and I know the people. Like, I have to believe in it, because there's too much money invested in making profit from and taking that money from public schools for me to be able to give it my support. And I agree with you, Jamel. School choice has never been about us. We have work to do. And all I can think about all day today, I'm just going to be honest with you and very true. My whole entire day, like I've worked all day. I was up at 6:30. I've had a very long day, and I could hardly sleep last night because of what's happening in Wisconsin. And the fact that we had all these protests and we had all this support and we had everybody mobilized just to have Jacob Blake shot in the back 7 times in front of his kids. And then hear people like Lindsey Graham say that, well, why did he get shot? Why did he turn his back on the police? Like those types of things are weighing heavy. It's like no one has learned, or these people, the people that we need to realize and learn the lessons the most are absolutely choosing not to, but not only are they choosing not to, they're making a counter narrative that's actually very effective, that is really seeking into the minds and mentalities of a lot of people where progress was being made. Literally tonight, we heard several attacks against the defund the police movement. We have heard continuous radicalization of the radical left. I don't know if people realize it was the radical right that caused Kyle Rittenberg to get in his car and think that he could drive to Kenosha, Wisconsin and protect people with his assault rifle at 17 years old, that he had the right to do that. That at 17 years old, he had the right to brandish an assault rifle and shoot and kill 2 people, one of them in the chest after he was trying to capture the guy for shooting the first person. That's radicalization. That is American terrorism. That is the radical right. And I don't understand why nobody's talking about it. And then to see that today, Tucker Carlson on Fox News defended this. Tucker Carlson said that George Floyd deserved his fate. But Tucker Carlson turns right around and now says that this young man is doing what's right for America and taking up arms to protect people. And yet it's still this man, Tucker Carlson, still employed. All of this is so symptomatic of bigger problems in our country that I am absolutely horrified of the outcomes. And then to see with this happening that Donald Trump now has a 52% approval rating. He had a boost in the ratings based on the convention already. I'm horrified about the fate of our country, and I need a plan of action for me to move forward and to feel comfortable. I will live if Donald Trump is reelected. I will not die. I will live on somehow, but I cannot live on. I cannot live on if I don't know that I have done everything in my power with every skill and every talent, every tent that God has given me to avoid that fate from coming to pass.
Mm-hmm. And that's why
I hope everyone who is watching this feels the exact same way.
And that's why I think for that reason alone, it was so important for us to, and I get it. I understand that people who were not necessarily watching the convention, I get it, that you didn't want to give the ratings. I understand that. But again, these are the reasons why we have to know what we're up against. We have to know the enemy. We have to actually know what they are saying, because now it is our responsibility. Now it is our responsibility to now again go back now and be the fact checkers. It's now our responsibility to go.
Disregard, continue on.
It's our job now to speak, it's our job now to be the mouthpieces. It's now that we know, it's now, and what you're now about to see is because again, like I said, I saw one of the commenters say they're using that one little, the little message he said about, Black people, if you don't vote for him, then
Dr. Fitz.
I get it. Okay. All right. Y'all want to use that. But this is the same, mind you, this is the same party who has told us for the last 3 days to not listen to what Trump says, not just what he says, but how he acts. Well, then how are you going to say for 2 seconds, how are you going to say, well, don't listen to Trump, but then you say, but you got to listen to Biden because he's saying this and he's saying that, he's unstable in what he's saying. See, that again, it's trickery. The other problem that I have with this thing is the fact that, again, they're talking about all this stuff and all this stuff. Not one time, we're literally about to potentially see havoc happen in moments of hours in Louisiana and Texas. Moments from. And again, here we are again. And you got the nerve to be out here talking about what's going on. I need you to tell me at the end of the day, don't give me no sappy what's going on about, and we're sending. No. You're about to have a catastrophic issue in Louisiana and Texas. And it is, and thank God, and I'm not saying this about any of the cities that it's about to affect. Thank goodness that it is moving to a direction where it's not going to destroy places like New Orleans again. New Orleans cannot handle this again. So thank goodness that it is shifting, that they won't get terrorized, but there are still Black and brown people whose lives are about to be torn up again because of this. And so, all this ugliness and all this rhetoric, how about you get on there and pray for these individuals about to deal with this? Tell me what you're going to do for Black and brown people who are about to suffer, who have to now rebuild their lives again because of this situation about to happen. So all that foolishness, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm trying to talk about what are we going to do to make sure that we're safe and we're protected. So not only do they feel like they're being killed by coronavirus, they feel like they're being killed by the police, but now we have natural disasters and they have a country who they don't feel is going to protect them and save them from the things. So tonight was just not a good night for me.
It has not been a good night or a good day. And when Lamont, we're not debating anything. What we're doing is laying out the bottom line facts about your president, Donald J. Trump. And Charles, you know what? The Republicans were not tone deaf. They were just not speaking the language that we wanted to hear. They weren't speaking to us. They were speaking to their America, and they were speaking to their Americans. And again, as De'Andre just said, they do not care about the issues and the plights of Black people in this country. And it's heartbreaking and it's really sad to accept, but it's something that we have to accept. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the tactics, Charles Albert Johnson III, that you have seen rolled out in front of you over the course of these 3 nights, because these are the tactics of the fascism I told you about several weeks ago, my friend. And they're not going to protect us. They don't even want us here in the first place. And you know what, Dr. White? Yeah, no one is going to protect the Black and brown. They're not. We are expendable. We're not only expendable, it is, as someone said earlier, open season. I believe that racists and that white terrorists have been emboldened to take out Black people, Black men in particular. I do believe that. And we are not in any way coming together on a unified front, because we're still debating whether or not we want to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's still,
by the way, they disrespected every night for the last 3 nights. Like, you won't even call her name right. You know what her name is. Call her name right. And it's like, even the blatant disrespect for that. You know, she's been a senator for a minute. Like, you know her name. Like, it's just the small little things. I'm like, really? It's just like tonight. It's like you get worse and worse and more divisive and more evil. And so, yeah.
And more blatantly racist. And you're employing Black people to uphold your racism, like Brewer.
And then you're going after these, and what's funny is it seems like every person that
now this is a fact.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
Now, what I also find interesting is that most of the Black people that they've chosen to speak have been controversial or going through something within themselves. You have a governor, you have a attorney general who's dealing with an issue in Kentucky. You have a man who came on here who's currently right now being has charges for insider trading. And you have that. You have Vernon Jones, who, by the way, the current. Now, mind you, I know we talked about how he did great. Now you have the current CEO of DeKalb County, who just came out today, who just said he's actually still fixing some of the issues that Vernon Jones actually has done in DeKalb County. So now you're not giving me any viable individuals that speak to the essence of us as Black people. You're finding the I want to say the bottom of the barrel, but come on now, you're not even giving us the highlight. You're not giving me any reason to say I need to go after you. I need to vote for you because this Black person speaks to me. This Black person speak. No, you're not giving me. And so for that reason alone, I'm just like, you're not doing a good job with it. And, now wasn't tonight, did you say tonight was supposed to be, we're supposed to see our girls tonight?
I thought we were going to see the two raisins in milk tonight, but we didn't see them. Maybe they were pulled. Maybe Donald Trump is saving the big guns, Diamond and Silk, the two raisins in milk, for tomorrow night. I agree with you, Alon Ray. I do believe that Kamala Harris is going to bring the fire, and I can't wait for her to debate Pence. Pence, my goodness, Pence is very boring. Like, he's banal. I don't even know what else to say about it. He delivered several what he thought were jokes, and only one of them finally landed. But it was horrible. And one of his daughters looks to be of some sort of mixed ancestry. She did. Right. Herschel Walker, disappointment. And again, I hear you, Lamont. What are we going to do about it? That's kind of where, the point of it is. There's several, again, I know what I committed myself to doing was trying to raise awareness on a continuous basis. It is time consuming to develop content for social media. It really is, to sit down and make TikToks. I make TikToks. Mm-hmm. I learned a whole new platform because that is where young people are. And that is a mountain of disinformation existing on that platform. So I make these these TikToks that might be funny, might not be funny, but they're meant to be informative and they're meant to be educational. They're meant to combat some of the disinformation that exists out there for young people. It's not for us, it's for them. That's why I make it and put it on their platform.
And Lamont, you said the statement, you said the right, you said it right. What are we going to do about it? So Zack and De'Andre can only do so much. It is up to every single one of us. Right. I know we laugh, I know we joke and everything else, but we have to make a serious, conscious effort, every person on this live, to share these videos, to go out and speak. One of the things is I don't understand why I'm not seeing these videos shared more than they are. So sharing this video and have people watch it.
Make your own videos for your own followers, because they're your followers.
Yeah, do watch parties. Get the message out there. Tag things on your Facebook page. Send me, have conversations with your colleagues.
You can take the long ass post that I write and you can plagiarize the post. You don't have to share it. You can just copy it and you can rewrite it for your friends, because it's about the information. It's about getting out the word to people. And in addition to the creation of content, I'm also committed to combating ignorance. When people say ignorant things, or I have seen so many Black people share fake articles or fake news, things that are wrong. They didn't even read, they just shared the headline. I go into those posts and I make comments, and I commit myself to dealing with the alerts, the notifications, the back and forth, because at the end of the day, those people's followers are seeing this information as well. And the more people that we can correct the misinformation of, or the disinformation, the better we are. Because again, every American citizen has the right to vote, and it's their vote. I am not telling you not to exercise your right just because you don't want to vote for Joe Biden, but I am saying let it at least be an informed decision that you make. And we are combating disinformation and misinformation, and flat out, as we saw this week, lies.
I truly appreciate that statement, because it's more than just he's not a part of the progressive movement, or he doesn't speak to this and speak to that. It's again. Both. It's funny. Again, it was mentioned by the Republican Party last night, and it's just so interesting that it's been the theme of what the Democrats are saying. We're in a fight for the soul of America, and so if we're in the fight for the soul of America, then we have to look at the soul and the consciousness of it. And then now,
De'Andre, we've got it. This is Jamel. I just wrote a post about this. Let me say, you're right. This is not in any way offensive. This is a hardcore fact. The fact, and it's not just Donald Trump, right? This was exposed by Russia, the comrades of Donald Trump. They looked at all the demographics of every single group of people in America, and they determined from their data that Black men were most susceptible to voter suppression, and Russian interference, it could be most easily swayed. And there are a lot of factors as to why that is. There's a lot of historical damage that has been done in this country to Black men on purpose by systemic racism that makes them more susceptible to these types of attacks. But we are now living in 2020, and at some point we have to be responsible for our own critical thinking ability to see through these lies. So when you say this, you're right. There is a reason they chose Black men to target, and there is a reason why it is working. And we have got to find a way to dismantle the constructs of systemic oppression and racism that leads this to happening, so that our Black sons and Black brothers and Black nephews are not as susceptible to this nonsense as our Black brothers are today.
Yeah, I agree. And now I think the comment down there about the early voting thing, I think that's actually an interesting concept. Because of the fact that we already do this concept around, we do the Black churches and they go to church and everything else. And so it's which I believe that's all they did, Prince. I believe they truly just bought them at the end of the day, or promised them something. And because you know why that? Because the fact that at the end of the day, they know that the Black women, for the most part, the Black women vote is going to go, for the Democratic Party. So that's kind of hard. I'm not.
Lamont, please don't do that.
I'm not.
Don't make a P-Valley video. As much as you may want to dress like Uncle Clifford and walk around your city, if you do that, I promise you're only going to hurt the efforts. Unless you do the Uncle Clifford full nails and wig, the boots and everything, and say that you're campaigning for Donald Trump, then you are authorized to make it.
Yeah, because then what you're gonna do is turn a whole other situation, and now you're gonna start another argument and fight that we don't need to take on.
Charles, I'm afraid that Donald Trump is going to get 20% or more of the Black vote. That is my fear.
I don't know if it's that high.
I hope it isn't. Think about it. He received 13% of the Black male vote in 2016, and 8% of Black women voted for him in 2016. And again, I think that it is more normalized to support him in 2020. Unfortunately, I do believe that.
And here's why I think the opposite is because of the fact that you have to look at looking at the statistics on 16 and 20, you had I just don't feel, and it's still to this day, even though that she was a better candidate and she won the popular vote, you're talking about 2016 a white woman running, 2020 a white man running. And I still think there's still a sexist society that will still put a white man in power and position over a white woman. And so that I think is going to be the very driving point of why I think Joe Biden is doing a little bit better than Hillary Clinton was doing 4 years ago. Because again, at the end of the day, we still will not. I just don't think right now that we have enough, unless we really rally behind a particular candidate. They're never going to elect a white woman or a woman in general. With the way that the setup is currently. That's why, again, I think that Joe Biden currently has a better chance than Hillary Clinton did 4 years ago. And so that's why I he should have a better chance. But I do believe that polls are very accurate at this moment. I think that if the polls are wrong going to this election, you won't ever have polls again. So I do believe that polls have gotten better. I think it's better. But at the same time, I do think that we have a whole lot to fear, and we have a whole lot of work that we have to do. Mm-hmm. And again, that goes to some of the things that we have to do. Small things such as we have to remember, even though yes, we're in a pandemic, we're in this whole pandemic and things of that nature. We still have to remind people that there were so many people here in Georgia that were thrown off of rolls who may not have gotten that fixed. So we have to start doing campaigns to advocating for our people to go check your voter registration. Go make sure. There's some people who may still thought that they were able to vote in June and still weren't able to vote. So they have to go check this. So we have to start advocating for that. We're going to start letting people know they still have time to register to vote. We still have to start letting people know that you can go early vote. I just put mine back in the mail. They're actually sending out right now your applications for your absentee ballots. Mine is gone. Mine is gone. And so hopefully I'll get that soon. And even if I can't, I'll, do whatever can be. But we have to start educating people. We want to talk about the vote. And Lamont, if you really want to, so this is one answer. One of the things you can do is start putting out there every time you turn around, how many days are left before early voting is in your state? How many days before you can turn in your ballots? Register to vote. Start putting that information out there, putting out the websites to your Secretary of State's offices to get those individuals to check their voter registration. These are things that we can start doing now, pushing, making sure the people in your family, making sure every person in your family is registered and they have all their stuff is taken care of. Start looking now for people who might need rides. Start advocating and start trying to figure out, creating caravans and things of nature. Like, how can we rent out buses? How can we do this? Start literally getting the game plan together, because guess what they're doing? They're doing the very thing that I'm talking about now. And so again, we have to be proactive and not reactive. And the best way to become proactive is think ahead and not think for the now. And so I pray that as you're listening, that these are the things that we can start putting into place so that we can be successful. Time out for all the extra stuff. We're now playing chess, and we need to play to win, not just to play.
And you're right. And I'm gonna say this. I also, firmly believe, like, again, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm in Georgia, and I don't trust Raffensperger as our Secretary of State. I don't trust it at all. I just don't. I don't trust anything that's in the current Gold Dome in the state of Georgia. I am going to early vote. In Georgia, you can early vote. I'm going to go early vote, and I'm going to go. Many people are still working from home to some level, somehow, somewhere. And so I recommend that people take a day off work or take a half day off work, and they use that time to go and vote early if you're in a state where you can vote early. If you're not in a state where you can vote early, that's when I firmly recommend the absentee ballot. But then again, there's some states like Mississippi that don't allow either one, because they had the system set up for days like this a long time ago. But I recommend taking off a day off work, mobilizing your friends to do the exact same thing, and then holding everybody in the circle accountable. Hold every member of your family accountable for voting. Hold every friend you have accountable for voting. Literally make them show their evidence, their little sticker, whatever it is, in a group chat, in a group text. Make it the thing to do for your family, and make it the thing to do in your community, because that's what it's going to take. And make sure that you are encouraging people to vote and that they're educated in their decision to vote.
Start having, if you're in churches, start having educated Zoom conversations on your church. You don't have to have it on Wednesdays and Sundays. You can have it, Zoom calls about the issues. If you want to bring in elected officials to talk about the issues, have them on Saturdays or that nature. Also, have phone banking for members of your church, asking them, because some of you have seniors, you have elders who can't necessarily go out, or they don't know what's going on. So make sure that the elders, help them get their absentee ballots, making sure they're checking that they're registered. Because again, this is a conscious effort, and it's an effort on everybody. Again, we no longer have the excuse of the we don't haves. We no longer have the excuse of the we can't. We have all the abilities and the capabilities. At this point, it's the I don't want to. It's no longer I can't. It's the I don't want to, because of who we're representing. I even take back. I'm going to go on record with Zachary right now with saying to all the people who watched us the other night, I'm going to go on record and backtrack. I'm going to backpedal and say, you know what? I'll take back what I said about the Senate race in the state of Georgia, and I'll simply say we have to do a conscious effort to make sure that we win by any means necessary. And if that means that we have to make sure, but again, I like the idea that we said is, listen, we need to reach out to that campaign and say, listen, you need to do a better job putting yourself out there. What do you need? How can we help? How can we? Because right now you're doing a piss poor job. And if we're
Even
going to,
your commercials are poorly made. I don't want to see Raphael Warnock walking around a church. I want to see voters talking about the issues. That's what makes these awful Kelly Loeffler commercials impactful to people, or effective, because impactful isn't a word.
Because we know that's where you shine. That's your base. We know that. We
don't want to see that.
No, go outside of that. And so I'm just at this place where I think, again, it's now action time, because we now know where they're going. We know that Joe Biden Joe Biden's not going to be out there all the time. If we're going to say, I'm so glad that, my mom, who is, she hasn't always been politically sound, and she hasn't always really been in that arena. My mom just really started voting for the first time. My mom and my grandmother, rest her soul, voted for the first time for President Obama. But ever since that election, my mother every year sits down with me every year and say, go over the issues with me. What do I need to vote for? What are the issues? And I appreciate that. And that's what we have to do within our own family, because you can't tell me, for those of you who are watching, I bet you can name at least 10 members of your family who probably do not know what's going on in their local, their county, their state. They don't quite know it. And so it's up to us to do our due diligence, which educating our people so they can make educated decisions, so that we can be like those other free people that we've heard these last couple of days, because we're not telling them how to vote. We're giving them the resources so they can vote the way that they want to vote. That's how we become a free people, not by being bought.
You're right. I will say this. I think I make a lot of jokes about about my mom, Deborah, and she watches everything that I post on Facebook. She watches from beginning to end at some point. And I'm going to say this. My mom to this day works in a glove factory. She has been a wage earner her entire life. My grandmother worked in a factory with her, and my aunt works in a factory. They all worked in the same factory. My grandmother passed away in 2011. If you know me, my grandmother's the love of my life. And I will say this: my mother has voted in every election of her life. She has made sure that I vote in every election in my life. It comes back from my great grandmother, Elvira Watkins, who'd have me dressed up as a little boy and take me to the polls with her when she voted. But that was in my hometown of DeKalb, Mississippi. That wasn't just something that my great grandmother did. It was something that everybody's great grandmothers did. So on election night, and it was sometimes my birthday, November the 30th is my birthday. So this year is another birthday election. The last time my birthday fell on election day was the day that you people elected George W. Bush for a second term, and he beat John Kerry. But the going to the vote, I saw my friends there. So it was like, oh, we go to school, we go home, then we dress up and we go and vote. It was what we all did. And so I applaud that. And when you talk about Mississippi and you see Mississippi's always voting red, when you look on an electoral map, you're going to see a dark blue dot in the corner right beside Alabama, and that's always Kemper County. Everything around us, red. Dark blue dot, Kemper. We vote Democrat in that county, and we always have. And it's probably a huge part. It is an inborn part of my DNA and of who I am. And I'm so thankful that my mother laid that foundation for me. So I give her that applause, because I know I've said some funny things that weren't complimentary on some of our lives. And she always tells me about it.
And I also have to be very cognizant and very careful, because everybody knows, because I am a preacher, I have to be very careful about what I say sometimes. And so I try my best to, but every now and then,
and that's my first cousin.
Every now and then, and y'all look alike, actually.
Strong genes.
But what I will say is, again, and Lamont, I think tonight, I think the reason why I love this conversation as well is because, Lamont, I think we really understand that we are fired up. We know what we have to do. And I think right now, more than ever, we know that we really are at the fight of the soul of not just this nation, but the soul of Black folk. And we know that in another 4 years of this, we can't take another 4 years of that. We can't take another 4 years, because we thought, we thought that for a moment over this summer, our voices are being heard. we were, we were like, listen, and we're saying like we're making our voices heard, and then all of a sudden, bam, here we go again. It's almost like, okay, I'm gonna give you a second to show your grievances.
But De'Andre, to be honest, this is going to be controversial as well. But I have to say it because I've always felt this was, again, everything that I'm hearing now, I knew was going to happen because I think strategically about what are they going to do to counter us. Mm-hmm. Some of the priorities have been misplaced. As we have seen reckless, criminal, murderous behavior emerge, the focus became on calling for things like defunding the police that just aren't going to happen in many parts of America. Yep, it's going to happen in places that are progressive. Yep, it's going to happen in places that are very liberal. So it could happen in the city of Atlanta, but it surely is not going to happen in Cobb County. Yep, it can happen in the city of Chicago, but it surely isn't going to happen, or the city of Milwaukee, but it surely isn't going to happen in Kenosha. So that to me was one of the major missteps that was made. At no point have we had a major rally around mobilizing the vote and pushing that full entire vote in a progressive direction towards Biden and Harris. That hasn't happened. And that is what's going to make the difference. Every single day, thankfully, I wake up to the killers of Breonna Taylor have still not been arrested. But like I said last night, they're not going to be arrested. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be arrested because the Kentucky Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, isn't going to make any moves to have them arrested. He is going to uphold the people and the politics that put him in office. And those are the politics of the Republican Party. And that's all he cares about. Mm-hmm. So you will not have real change in our society unless you have some real change in the people that we elect. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to happen if we don't vote and get other people to vote.
And you know what, Zachary? I think if we are to put a bow on it, I think the whole, every day that we see, people put another status, another statement about, Breonna Taylor's killers have not been, we keep saying we're going to get justice. If I can go as far as to say, this is that children in a cage thing that you wanted to see.
Yep.
Because if we keep putting it out, because we may not, because
we got to keep putting it out there.
What happens is we may not get the justice that we want, but again, we have to keep putting again our feet on their neck, or put our knees on their neck, saying, listen, but we won't get the justice, but this is why we won't get the justice, because we keep having people like this, and it keeps putting that out there, and it keeps putting pressure on that. So then we have to again continue to. It's almost working twofold. Put the pressure on it while still working towards getting them out. So now you see who's for you, who's against you. But yeah, it is a sad truth.
And we also, again, here's another, point of fact. And I don't know if you guys saw this. I am tired. I have another long day tomorrow. I think tomorrow my first appointment is at 9:00. So it's a little bit later than today starting at 7. But Madison Cawthorn, the really powerful young man who came out tonight, who was in the wheelchair, I just want to share with the world that he and his significant other spent time to visit Adolf Hitler's vacation home. Like that's where he puts his time. So, that's where he goes to visit and vacation. Donald Trump rolls out this American hero for the world to see. And this American hero idolizes Adolf Hitler. I know it's not a surprise to us, but the blazing attack on the spirit of the Black and marginalized communities in this country absolutely astound me. There is no shame in this administration. There is no shame in this campaign and how this man will dog whistle, this man will bait, and this man will throw out these different white supremacist treats to his followers. Mm-hmm. And here we are, all blind to it, not having a clue, standing up there like Brewer, talking about he's the first Black president. Yeah. I'm gonna really spend some time tonight and tomorrow deconstructing these selected speakers and highlighting those criminal activities of people like Brewer and pointing out the things with actual evidence. It's just gonna take some time, but some of it is urgent. I'm gonna do a little bit of it tonight so I can post tomorrow.
Yeah, but I will say this much as we come to the conclusion, because obviously we know that all this grandstanding was ultimately prepping for the tomorrow. What I will say to you all,
tomorrow's going to be the worst night, and it's going to be horrible because Donald Trump is going to do a horrible speech. So I predict right now, Donald Trump's speech is going to just be absolute trash.
And it's going to be, again,
it's going to be trash.
It's going to be a production. I know it's going to be, again, it's going to be glitz and glamour production. But what I would say to you all, if we had to leave a parting message tonight, if we had to say something else, here's the thing. And I'm making this commitment. I guess I got to start doing some work as well. So please make sure, one, that you're following us on our social media outlets. Please make sure you're actually doing that because we're going to start putting stuff out there. But now is that time that we need to begin to mobilize.
De'Andre, I've been putting stuff out there. I've been writing my butt off.
Yeah. So this is the time. But I think we have to take it a step deeper because I think it goes now. I think it goes beyond the just putting it out there. And now it goes now putting the action plans out there. And so I think we're doing good with using our platforms, but now is the time that we now start strategizing, putting the action plans out there. And so that is going to be, I think, our next phase. And so I guess when we come together tomorrow, we'll discuss him, but I think we're going to start having that discussion as far as where do we go from here? Because I think that's the key. Because we already know the foolishness. We need to start talking about where do we go from here? And I'm excited about that conversation.
You're right. So, all right, guys, we will see you on tomorrow for the bigly conclusion of the Trumplican National Convention.